What up, y'all? You already know it's Dwayne with KDD. Got my boy Dr. Ricks on the line.
We back. What's good, family?
Yeah, shit. I don't know that whole Dr. Ricks and that shit kind of flows.
Hey.
I'm just saying. So, what we gonna get into today? This is the second episode. We're gonna talk about nature versus nurture. Natural and unnatural disasters. As you know, it's hurricane season. And I mean, shit, they dropping like fucking mixtapes. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got, you know what I'm saying? We got Hurricane Harvey, you know what I'm saying? We got Hurricane Irma. We got Hurricane, what's the other one? Katia,
yeah.
I'm just waiting
and then
for
Jose.
Yeah, Hurricane Jose. I'm just waiting for them to name a hurricane after a ghetto bitch. After that, you gotta evacuate. If a fucking Hurricane Shanique was coming to you, yo, get out of Dodge, dead ass. But so yeah, what do you think about briefly? What is your thoughts about this whole weather thing? Do you think that this is manufactured? Do you think this is something that's this is climate change, or what do you think?
I will just let me start by saying that regardless of what it is, it's so interesting that the government has these tools that have even made us doubt that our weather is real. So the fact that we even have doubts about, the things that are going on right now and their authenticity is a testament to the kinds of things that we innately know and the things that we've seen with our own eyes. So, I mean, I can't concretely say for sure that any of these things are manufactured. The only thing I can say for sure is that there's a possibility that it's manufactured. There's also a possibility that it's just natural. So, and that's the great trick, right? If you're using, if all warfare is rooted in deception, what greater deception is there than using something that's natural and manipulating it in such a fashion that people can't say whether or not it's real or you made it.
Yeah, it's like ass shots.
Exactly. Exactly. So, I mean, I can't give any expert analysis on it. I am not a storm chaser, but I will say that there is a possibility that these things are manufactured. There's also a possibility that this is nature. I mean, we did just have an eclipse. Eclipses tend to be very important celestial events that do influence the things that happen on Earth. So I mean, it could be a lot of things, and even if you want to take it to the esoteric realm, I mean, there are people that have been doing water rituals low key, and people don't really realize what they're doing. Like I put out a tweet the other day. And I said, people do metaphysical shit all the time. You either A, don't pay attention to it, or B, you call it something else. And there's a lot of people a lot of things that people do that influence other things to happen. I mean, if we talk about this paradigm as a matrix, well, whenever people have seen the Matrix, people saw when Neo actually started seeing the Matrix for what it was and the different codes and numbers and stuff. And we actually went into that space, everything he touched, it resonated with another part. It's like a web. If you press your finger down on one part of the web, the whole entire web resonates, and it adjusts to the energy that you're putting in that spot. Then when you take your finger off of the web, it readjusts to the energy leaving that spot. So we do a lot of things consciously, subconsciously, unconsciously that we do not realize are actually affecting our reality outward. Again, that is the grand design of being able to say, oh, well, HAARP did this. We have these ionosphere heaters that, we can shoot up into the atmosphere and influence weather somewhere. Did we do it, or did Mother Nature do it? Or did you vicariously do it and just not know that you were doing it?
Word. And it's crazy because, I don't know, my mind was going crazy last night. I was just like, yo, they, I'm saying they in quotes, they've gotten so good at, imitating God that, you can't tell what's real and what's fake.
Facts. That's facts.
You know what I'm saying? I was watching this thing on YouTube. I believe it was Sonetta or Underground Railroad. I forgot which one it was. But with Red Pill and Blue Pill, and they were talking about how that a formation video predicted Houston, and I was like, nigga.
Yes. I've seen commentary about that too. Beyonce standing on the cop car up underwater.
Yeah, I was like, shit, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, there was so much symbolism in that video, but like for some reason that didn't like register initially. I was like, shit.
Yeah, and it's crazy because people keep saying that she was invoking a water ritual. That it's just like, okay, you get 3 months of this, and you think it's a coincidence that like now you have this tag team of hurricanes coming in off the top rope every 2 or 3 days. You know what I'm saying? So.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of things that people are doing that they're unaware that they're doing, that they're lending their energy to, and that they're contributing to. I will also say that, people are like, oh, it's HAARP, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, that's cool. But what people got to understand, is that it's not HAARP, first of all, because HAARP as a program has been disbanded, all right? So the installation up in Alaska that housed the ionosphere heaters is no longer there. Like all of the equipment, they've already taken the equipment out, they've repurposed it. But that's not to say that there are not similar sites that are around the world, because there are, and there are several. So when people say it's HAARP, it's not really HAARP, but there is some things that are going on with atmospheric radio waves and things like that. And when I say these machines, most of them are ionosphere heaters. So the ionosphere is the part of the Earth it's the layer of the atmosphere, and and like it says, it's ionized. So it gets ionized either by sun rays or just regular cosmic rays, and it's part of where the ozone layer resides. So, sidebar on that, the people always talk about ozone layer hole. That shit's not real. Like every time they talk about, and this is some Bill Cooper Googles, the guy that wrote Behold the Pale Horse. He showed how whenever there was a hole, quote unquote hole in the atmosphere, it was always above a pole. It was either above the South Pole or above the North Pole, right? Mm-hmm. So not even counting flat earthers and all that shit, I'm not here to argue about that. I don't know. I've never been outside the Earth. I can't tell you whether it's bitch flat or not. But just looking at these photos, they always show the hole over one of the poles, right? Well, the Earth sits at a tilt. So when the Earth tilts, there's like one part of it where there's part of the pole that's exposed to the sun. There's one part where one of the poles is completely unexposed to the sun, right? They will always take pictures of the part that's unexposed to the sun because the sun ionizes the atmosphere. And when the sun ionizes the atmosphere, that's where your ozone layer forms. So if the sun's not touching the Earth or the rays aren't getting to the Earth, there's part of the atmosphere that's not ionized. That's where your ozone layer hole comes from. And that's why you only see it over the poles. You never saw ozone layer hole over America or over South America, over Africa, over Asia, over Europe. You never saw that, even though the legislation said, oh, we can't use CFCs anymore because they're putting a hole in the ozone layer. Well, if that was the case, why is the ozone layer over in Antarctica where nobody's using CFCs? You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So the ionosphere is a very important thing in that it corresponds to a lot of meteorological events that happen on Earth. And there are several of these ionosphere heaters out in different locations on the planet. So basically what happens is with the ionosphere heater, they take a radio wave frequency, high energy radio wave frequency, they shoot it into the atmosphere and it warms the ionosphere, right? So it's kind of like, it's like a pin pushing on a blanket. So imagine that the ionosphere is a blanket around the Earth. Imagine you taking your finger and you push up on it, right? So you're going to see part of the ionosphere bend up and go around your finger, right? But when you take your finger away, it's going to fall back down and it's going to reoccupy the space that was pushed away by your finger. The finger is an ionosphere heater. So once they stop shooting that radiation or that radio frequency up into the ionosphere, it collapses back into the space that it was. Now, this is the thing. When that energy collapses, you see it in weather that happens on Earth. And people think that this is false, but it's not. There's actually a peer-reviewed paper from Japan. So the paper was written in, hold on, let me pull it up right quick. The paper was written in geophysical letters. I'm going to give y'all the reference for this. All right, so the name of the paper is Concentric Waves and Short Period Oscillations Observed in the Ionosphere After the 2013 More EF5 Tornado. All right, so the paper was written in Geophysical Research Letters. This is a Wiley journal. So basically, what happened was there was a massive supercell event. I don't know exactly what happened to it, but it caused a tornado. But the interesting thing was that this is the first time in actual recorded history in science, as far as science has been recorded, that they tracked the oscillatory frequency of the tornado and they found it in the ionosphere. So that shows that there's a direct correlation to what happens on Earth can be seen in the ionosphere. And if it happens in the ionosphere, or if it happens on Earth and you can see in the ionosphere, if you do something to the ionosphere, it only makes sense that something else manifests on Earth. So the fact that you have this frequency and this equipment that can heat the ionosphere in such a fashion that you see meteorological events on Earth means that you can manipulate the weather. Now, do I know if people are steering hurricanes? I don't know. I can't say that the Earth can steer a hurricane like a fucking drone. I can't say that. What I can say is that between cloud seeding, NASA making their own clouds, these ionosphere heaters, it is absolutely possible for the government to manipulate the weather.
Exactly. And I know that if you're out there and you're listening and you only have like a GED or a third grade education, just know that the government's fucking up shit. That's all you need to know. Just to, keep it succinct. And yeah, I mean, China's been fucking sending balloons in the sky, like weather balloons, since like the 20s. You know what I'm saying? So like, They've always been trying to like really manipulate, nature and stuff like that. And I mean, again, like when you try to play God, things get fucked up. Shit, I'm just thinking about I've looked up HAARP and everything like that, and it makes sense. As far as people saying, "Oh, we don't have the technology." It's like, look, nigga, like you don't have the technology. There's a lot of shit. I mean, the internet, if I'm not mistaken, goes back to like the 70s, but it just got released to like the general public, around like the late 90s, mid 90s, 2000s and shit like that. Like they have shit that they can't tell you they have. You know what I'm saying? So
exactly, by the time it gets to you, it's already been perfected, and they're working on something else. Like people think that the apex of technology is the iPhone 8, and it's like, bro, if they're giving you this, I guarantee they have much more sophisticated, powerful shit they're not telling you about. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, I at some point, I'm not gonna say too much, but at some point I was with one of those branches of the and they got some shit that the general public does not have access to. So don't get it fucked up. I actually got a call. Let me shut up. But well, I'm just saying though, like it's people are really just, I don't know, just people are just in their bubble. Like, I mean, I'm at work and this chick was like, I don't know, I don't think they can't control the weather. I can understand other stuff, but I mean that's all God. I'm just like, beloved. I was like, it's bad enough that you're sitting here fighting over two made up gods, the one that, the governments can, using to, control nature, and, the one that they sold you was going to save you for your sins.
Right.
Man, I just smiled or whatever. It's like, she knew I knew something, but I wasn't going to say it, especially not at work.
Right.
The only thing I push at work is being vegan. That's it. That's as woke as you gonna get. That's as woke as you gonna get for me. Without me charging niggas, but so what do you think the general public needs to do in regards to the possibility of nature being able to be manipulated?
There's not really a whole lot you can do. I mean, you know, if this technology exists, it exists. I think that people just, you know, you just a lot of things you can predict. If you look at things like farmers' almanacs, a lot of those have the ability to tell you like when the seasons are forming, and they're pretty accurate. So if you kind of want to get a jump on what's going to happen around you in your area, you can look at almanacs. But as far as like things being manufactured, I mean, I've never been a fan of living on any coastal water for any reason. I've never been a fan of living out west, because the cost of living is too fucking high and they got wildfires. You know, I mean, I'm a southern boy at heart, but I'm just not a fan of living on any of the coast because there's just too much. There's too much possibility for natural and man-made things to happen.
Right.
So I mean, until that there's a serious research and a serious investment of time into dismantling some of these things, then I mean I can't really co-sign people like living that close to coast like that. I mean I know there are people that are there, they can't leave. I understand that, but if I'm a person of means, I'm not actively trying to stay there. I'm trying to get as far inland that has enough sun as possible. You know, if your stratus to stay in the United States. But if not, then I mean you're free to go wherever you want to. I would just stay away from coast. You know, I mean, stay away from places that have nuclear installations. I mean, because you know Japan's still feeling the effects of the Fukushima reaction
in Sumbo, California.
Reactor. Yeah, I mean, they're still feeling the effects of that. So, I mean, and everybody's still feeling the effects of that. We keeping it a stack. They're just keeping it under wraps so people won't worry about it. Mm-hmm. But that radiation is still leaking into the water, you know, and it's already reached the U.S. It's already reached the Western Hemisphere. So, I mean, it's drastically going to affect the aquatic life that is coming into contact to. And, you know, furthermore with that, like, people got to understand that, you know, on an esoteric and metaphysical level, the earth is a living, breathing thing.
Facts.
And people think it's not, but it's like, you know, we're a reflection of everything. Like we are the microcosm and the macrocosm, right? So we're essentially mini Earth. Like we're all reflections of Earth. We're all reflections of the universe. So if that's the case, then what happens inside of us and what happens on us also happens to the earth. So we go through periods of intense detox and cleansing every day. The earth goes through the same thing. I mean, you can say that this is what this is. I mean, we've damaged and tortured the earth so much through destructive means that earth is trying to cleanse itself. And it's not a good, bad, right, or wrong thing. It's just necessary. And, you know, if you have knowledge of that and you're aware of the fact that, you know, this is just Mother Earth doing her thing, could the government be assisting it? Probably. I don't know. But at the end of the day, this is still Mother Earth doing her thing. And we have to take a serious look at the things that we're doing that cause some of these unnatural or natural disasters, however you want to put it. Because we do have a stake in all of this, whether it's on a practical level every day with, you know, how you interact with your community. Do you grow your own food? Are you still eating meat? Like, all of those things matter in the course of what actually happens to the earth. So we have to reevaluate our stake in the natural events before we even begin to worry about the unnatural ones.
Indeed. So what do you think about, you know, the whole climate change thing that people are talking about? Because, I mean, first of all, I was always like, well, if niggas ain't talking about the beef industry, y'all got to shut the fuck up. But, you know, no one's doing that. So, I mean, but then again, like you said, Earth is, you know, a naturally, you know, living, breathing thing, you know. Even the global warming thing before that, I think it was the 70s or the early 80s, they were talking about global cooling and shit. So it's like, which one is it? You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, I mean, and like we go through cycles, the Earth goes through cycles too. Do I believe that some of this climate change is man-made and man-assisted? Absolutely. There's a lot of evidence that points to it. But I will also say that this is just another oscillation of the Earth. People have to understand that the Earth's vibrational frequency has been rising for the past decade, at least the past decade. So, and it's at one of the highest vibratory frequencies that's ever been observed for the Earth. So with a higher vibration and a raise in the frequency of the Earth, you have a faster energy exchange, and faster energy exchange equates to higher temperatures on the Earth. That just is what it is. So is some of this climate change man-made? Absolutely. Is some of this climate change just natural? Absolutely. Do I know for sure which one is greater than the other? No, I don't. I don't study it extensively enough. But I'm not going to say that the things that we're doing here on Earth are not having a tangible effect on the climate. I will also not say that the Earth wasn't going to naturally heat up from the jump, because just like you have a fever when you have something that's on Earth, or you have something that's inside of you that's causing you to have an infection, your body heats up because it's trying to burn the infection out. Who's to say Earth's not doing the same thing? Facts. So if you're looking at it from a lot of different angles, it could be a lot of different things. But climate change in the way that people describe it as being man-made, there is some truth in that. But if we look at it on a common sense level and we look at all of the things that we're doing to the Earth to destroy it, I mean, we're essentially a sickness to it, right? And if you want to purge sickness from the body heats up. I mean, that's just the age-old thing. So I believe that some of it is man-made, but I believe a lot of it is just Earth going through a natural cycle.
Right. It's just, I feel like it's funny how we're so arrogant, thinking, oh yeah, we're going to outlive the Earth and the Earth's going to be inhabitable and stuff like that. I'm like, look, Earth was here before you and it's going to be here after you.
Exactly. Exactly.
People really take for granted how irrelevant they are. So another thing, another conspiracy theory I've been hearing about as far as like nature goes, I'm hearing that icebergs are not real.
Ooh. Okay, so this is, admittedly, this is one that I recently got into, all right? So the premise behind icebergs not being real is based on volume and mass. So, and they equate it to if you put an ice cube in like a cup of water, right? You don't have a small portion of the ice poking out of the water and then a significant portion of the ice being under the water, right? They're equal portions based on the mass of the ice and the volume that it displaces within the area in which it's contained. So if you look at how these things stack up, so if you just drop a huge glacier of ice into water, it will displace the amount of water equivalent to the mass and the volume, right? So it'll displace the equal amount of volume to the mass of the glacier. And theoretically, it should not be, when you look at the ice, it should not be greater on top than it is on bottom. So essentially, if you're looking at it scientifically, there shouldn't be any icebergs. Now, can I say that with any degree of certainty? No, because I haven't actually looked at an iceberg. I haven't gone on the water to see and investigate whether or not the ice is equal or greater on bottom. Only thing I can say is that if you go put an equally sized ice cube in a cup of water, there's no tip of the iceberg. There's one half above the water and there's one half below it.
Yeah, so, and I heard that you can't do that. Like, I heard you can't go to see icebergs.
And I'm not surprised by that. I am not surprised by the fact that that's something that you can't actually see with your own two eyes. I mean, if you just look at if you just do like small reenactments of it on your own, then you can kind of see that on your own. Now, I will also say that sometimes when you scale things up, they don't go quite the same as you would see it on like small scale. But as far as like glaciers and icebergs, man, I gotta at least call suspicious. Right. I can't say foul for sure, but I at least gotta call it suspicious.
Yeah, and again, I mean that all like just ties into my because I just got into the whole glacier thing recently also, and I'm just like, what is fucking, like, you really start to question like what the fuck is real or what isn't, you know what I'm saying? I'm thinking about again, like all these pictures of the polar bears and shit like that. Like the polar bears are all skinny and shit. I'm just like,
right.
I mean, yeah, that could be real, but I mean, look, we got basic bitches, you know, from around the way that can work Photoshop. I mean, what are the feds doing?
Exactly.
And I mean, really, like, I would say I think a lot of things are a conspiracy, whether they are or not, just off of the fact that I'm like, look, they faked the moon landing. If they could fake that shit, they could fake anything.
Yeah, man, no, that's real. But you know, people will fight you about that in public, so you can't say that too loud.
Yeah, I mean, I keep a lot of my opinions to myself. I mean, like the show that I tell you off the air, like that I'm working on. You know, I meet artists all the time. You know, and they have a lot of, you know, liberal views and shit like that. But you know, I'm like, look, like we're here for the art. Like fuck all the other shit. Like that's a different conversation. You know what I'm saying? It's not like something that I'm willing to die over. Like, you know,
right.
So it's just man, there's just so much shit that we really need to be worried about. And not what's, you know, we're being told to worry about. I mean, that's why, like, even, like, again, like, with the whole climate change thing, is just, like, I do think that, you know, we do have an impact on it, but if they're not even going to talk about, like, the real causes of shit, if they're not really going to, you know, because I don't even think we can really quantify, like, how much of an impact we, as humans, are actually making versus, you know, what the Earth is doing naturally, because, again, the lines have been blurred.
Right.
Because niggas trying to play God and shit. So, it's, I don't know. I do think that we do need to, you know, take better care of the earth. You know, we need to stop, just straight up, you know, ignorantly polluting shit and, you know, fucking up the oceans and stuff like that. We definitely need to do that. You know, not litter so much. I hear, like, even recycling, they send it to some place where it's just like, I don't know, like, everything's bullshit. That's what I've learned.
It feels like it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So, shit. So what do you think is going to happen, you know, going forward? Do you think more catastrophic hurricanes and, you know, what do you think, like, for the rest of 2017?
I mean, I can see it. I mean, Mama Earth seems to be in cleanse mode, whether it's you got the wildfires going on the West Coast, you got the hurricanes over here on the East Coast. I mean, it's not even just the East Coast. You know, you got the Caribbean. You know, Barbuda was completely wiped off the map by Irma. I mean, I could see it. I could see a lot of other things happen. I could see it being calm after this. I mean, I don't think it's out of the way for these events to be happening after an eclipse. I mean, I really think that if somebody was to ask me today whether I thought this was natural or not, I would say yes. I mean, I would just be like, I don't think the government had anything to do with, you know, creating these hurricanes. Now, could there have been some things that they did that may have enhanced them more than what they are right now? Absolutely. But I believe these would have just formed on their own anyway. Because I do think that the Earth itself is in cleanse mode right now. And, you know, trying to get people that's not aligned with what is doing out the paint. I mean, I could see more of this continuing. I could see a period where it's just like we're trying to give people a break, you know, trying to let them rebuild and trying to, you know, show that they're going to be on the right track. So, I mean, I could go either way with it. But, I mean, I would not be surprised if, you know, this wasn't the last thing we saw out of 2017.
True. Yeah, again, like, it's really hard to, you know, tell what's what. I mean, I know that, just naturally, I know that, you know, like, a regular full moon will, like, affect, like, you know, the tides and shit like that. So, an eclipse will definitely do something. And, with, you know, the whole man-made shit, I mean, I've heard some people say that, oh, you know, they created Harvey, you know, so they could, like, you know, destroy Houston and gentrify that motherfucker. And I'm just like, yo, y'all are crazy.
I mean, that's, you know, I'm not going to discount that, but that's not going to be my first conclusion drawing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't ever discount a theory. I just rank them. Like, that's probably like 5D on my list of things that, or list of reasons why Hurricane Harvey happened. So I'm not going to say that's not true, but that's just not high on my list of priorities as far as, like, why I think that happened.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, everybody that may be in, the path of the hurricane, or if you've been told to evacuate, you might want to take heed to that. I also would say, try to make sure that you have, I think it's called a bug out bag, or, some sort of supplies, to hold you over in case you get stuck out there, anything like that. You don't want to be assed out, and be in places where they got like contaminated water and sewage and all kinds of wild shit. I hear there's a lot of, like, the whole cleanup process is like damn near more dangerous than actually like being caught in the storm.
Oh yeah.
So I hear that people are I didn't hear that there's a lot of looting, but I did hear that them good old boys have been kicking down doors and shit and taking valuables. I did hear that.
Yeah. No, and then that's been a thing I've heard too. I've been hearing some people. They've been killing some people in these homeless shelters. So y'all stay woke, y'all stay vigilant, and y'all keep your eyes open
and stay strapped.
That too.
I mean, I can't really talk about guns as I'm in New York and they don't play that shit at all. I'm not gonna say free schmurder. I might say free tax tone because his podcast changed the game.
It did. But tax ain't getting out for a while.
Yeah, unless he gets like a max B deal.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, the tax. We love you, beloved, but we know you're not coming home for a while.
Damn. All right, so if anybody wanted to find you, follow your podcast, anything like that, where can they do that?
Yeah, so y'all can catch me as always on Twitter. My name on Twitter is @TJRicks _TSP. That's TJRICKS _TSP. I'm generally on the timeline chopping it up with people. You can follow me on Instagram @Tanai the Science Guy. That's all separated by underscores. So Tanai _the _science _guy. You can get me on Snapchat @TheSegPapers, TheSegPapers. Of course, subscribe to the podcast, The Segregationist Papers, on iTunes. You can subscribe on Google Play. We also host on Spreaker. So yeah, that's where I'm at. If you want to contact me about being on your show or just want to chop it up about science shit in general, you can also email The Segregationist Papers @gmail.com.
Appreciate you coming out. I'm glad I actually got a doctor on my show. That's dope to say.
Yes, sir. It's always a pleasure. I appreciate the opportunity.
No doubt. So, this storm is coming to an end, but stay tuned for more from KDD, and definitely check out the Segregationist Papers. We out.